August 4th, Sunday, August 4th. You know what that means. It's time for Rebel Ants Radio. How are you tonight?
Not good. Not
Not
good.
good. Not good. What's wrong with you?
I'm having technical difficulties.
Yeah, me too. Oh, all right. We got a little brighter there.
And you decided to go live when I told you to just wait like 5 minutes.
Listen, the people are demanding. The people are demanding that we go
Are
live
they?
now because everyone has an important date at 9 o'clock for the season finale of House of the Dragons. And we got to give the people what they want. They want House of the Dragons more than they want us. So we got to respect that time. We've got to, get through our agenda tonight. We gotta wrap up on time. That's our goal tonight.
Well,
Are you
I'm not
happy
ready.
with your setup now? Have you resolved all your issues?
No, I've been trying to fix the issues for like 30 minutes now. So
Oh
relax.
God, you're being such a baby. Listen, crypto is down. Big, 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 big,
Crypto's
big,
very
big.
down.
Everyone's poor. Burn it all. And the good news is Rebel Ants are
everyone?
on sale. Rebel
Who's
Ants are on
everyone?
sale. So if you went over to rebelants.io, you'd see this beautiful website with this beautiful artwork from you. And if you clicked on minting now, it'll take you to the Bueno page where you could then connect your wallet and buy a Rebel Ant. You can mint it. And it's like $14, right? That's a deal. That's the deal of the century. So do yourself a favor, whoever you are, if you're watching, if you're listening, go to rebelants.io and go get a Rebel Ant Battle for the Colony. We got a couple people watching. I'm going to demand that all of you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're not going on with the show until we get enough likes.
Hey, were you able to even post the show on X today?
Yeah, man, it's all over the place. We're on Rebel Ants
Is it?
Radio. It's on X. It's posted.
I've been off my game today. I'm not
You
gonna
gotta
lie.
you gotta put your alerts on, man. Maybe you need some more rest. I don't know what's up with you. What have you been doing all day that you're not paying attention to me and us?
Sleeping.
Sleeping. God, there's not even a race today. There was no F1 race. We have no races for a whole month.
Sleeping, baby.
You're
Sleeping.
sleeping. All right. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Look,
We are
I couldn't
here.
even fix my background. Look at my background. It's just you can't even see what it is.
Listen, dude, it was no surprise that we were going live tonight, and you gotta just roll with it, and we will make fun of you later. Okay? Everyone's gonna make fun of you in the comments. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, give us some love, and that way we don't have to cry ourselves to sleep tonight. Okay, Miguel, what are your thoughts on this this crypto crash that we got going on here? Do you
That it
care? Does
sucks.
it bother you? Or are you gonna just wait it out?
I don't care. I'm still rich.
I'm still rich. I don't care. It's not good. It's not good. But you know what? In a week, it might be great. So who knows? it's
No, I'm
it's hard
kidding.
to
I'm
care
kidding.
too
Of
much.
course, it sucks.
I know.
It's
But if you're not
terrible.
buying and selling, then it doesn't matter. You're just going to hold.
I've been holding my whole life.
I know you have. But yeah, it's not looking good right now. People are very scared. And all I can tell is if you buy Bitcoin now, you're going to be thanking me that you did so in a week from now when it's probably higher than
Is that what it
$58,260.94.
is?
Because that's what happens. Bitcoin goes up. ETH goes up. Things go up over time. This is financial advice. You should take out all your savings and put it into crypto. Thank you.
Hey, so no, I'm gonna tell you what's happening. I think it has a lot to do with the whole UK thing that's going on up there now.
What do you mean, like the Olympics?
Not the Olympics
I'm
are in
kidding.
Paris.
No. What UK thing is going on that you think is tied to crypto?
Oh my god, there's like civil war going on over there. Have you not been watching the news?
Are you saying UK or Ukraine? What are you saying right now?
UK.
UK. Okay, tell me about the civil war in the UK that is impacting crypto.
People, there's insanity. There's a lot of people that own crypto there.
That's true. That's true.
So with all the stuff that's going on, people are selling, taking their money out, trying to put cash in their hands. I don't know. I guess they're just panicking.
Yeah. And, some news about the feds and the rates, the interest rates, kind of bothering some people. And Ethereum, ETF, not performing all that well.
I don't
But
think the interest rates had anything to do with anything. Honestly,
it has to do with the amount of money that people think that they have or are going to have. And that's why
the
they always...
interest rates have been going up and down, up and up and up and up and up and down and down for like already 4 years. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
doesn't
so has
change
the
anything.
price of Bitcoin. So
That's
it
true.
might all be tied together.
Possibly.
somebody drop us a comment. Let us know comments are working. Let us know where you're joining from tonight, and who do you think is going to die tonight in the season finale of House of the Dragons? Because I'm excited. I
Kevin.
probably will fall asleep while it's airing, so I told my wife she needs to make me like stand up if I start to like drift off sleeping, so that I can not fall asleep. So that's our goal tonight.
Is that what the goal is?
That's the goal: is not fall asleep during that. Her and I were watching a movie earlier with Kevin Hart called Lift. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
It starts with them stealing an NFT, or I guess buying an NFT, but a lot of NFT reference in that movie. I thought that was interesting. Not expecting that.
The movie that wasn't great though. It's just my honest opinion.
It was fun. It's
Here-
no Ocean's
here's-
11 or 12 or 13.
Here's my
It was fun.
honest opinion of that movie for Kevin Hart. Hey, here you go, Kevin. You're listening. This movie sucks, bro.
Kevin Hart is listening.
It sucked, Kev.
It sucked.
It did.
You know what, Kevin Hart? Just stop. Stop. Move on to something else. Go back to comedy. We don't need you on Netflix anymore. We've
Go
seen
back to
enough.
doing movies with The Rock.
That's right.
that's
That's
what
all
we
you're
want.
good for.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, the movie was alright. It's just it wasn't like a Kevin movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it could be better. The NFT reference was cool though because people were starting to ask like, "Oh, it's an NFT."
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why.
I like it. It wasn't negative about NFTs.
No,
Miguel,
it
are you
wasn't
ready for
negative at all.
some? Are you ready for some real talk?
I'm ready for some real talk, but I really want to fix my hooligan behind me over here. See,
Well,
can't even
I will.
find it.
I'll tee it up. You and I had a call with someone who's a well-established marketer in the Web3 space, who also does Web2. They do all the stuff. They're very good at what they do. And as we were explaining to them what we do and where we want to be, we listed like 17 things that we want to be and like 17 things that we want to be doing. And as we were like going through the list, well, also this, it made me realize how unfocused we are and how maybe we need to, find a main thing and then make the main thing, so that we can maybe get a little momentum in whichever direction we want to go.
So what is the main thing?
Well, I think that's what you and I are here for. We're here for our little therapy session. But what were your thoughts coming off of that call? 'Cause
Boom, look at my background.
I called you. You said I'll call you right back. You never called me back. This is our first time speaking.
Don't
in
ignore
like
me.
4
Look at my
days.
background.
Huh?
Look at my background.
It's beautiful. We're gonna get to the Saints in just a little bit.
That is beautiful.
But what were your thoughts after that call, just in terms of being a little retrospective about Rebel Ants and where we are? What were your thoughts?
The call went really well. I just think that, like you said, we were kind of all over the place. We weren't really but first of all, I was trying to just get the point across of what we are, because a lot of people don't know what we are. We're actually a media company, period. And it's been established. We're an LLC. We're registered in the state of New Jersey as a media company. We're legal as a media company, right? So
Well, you got to dox me. Tell everyone where I live.
what does you tell everybody where you live all the time? What are you talking about?
I think it's in my profile.
Is it?
I think it says New
Let me
Jersey.
read that, bro.
I don't know.
What if
I don't
tomorrow
know.
you
Please
become
don't come
rich?
to my house.
What if tomorrow you become rich?
Then you'll never see me again. It's that easy.
People are gonna find you, bro.
All right, bring it on. Yeah. I think what I was feeling as we were going through everything that we are, all the things we want to be, it's like, we've pivoted because we've been talking about, we've been doing this for, over 2 years. So of course things change over 2 years, right? And the things that we're interested in changes over time, and our focus shifted with V1 versus V2 versus the downtime in between and the ideas that we've had. And I think we have so many ideas that we want to do all those things, but maybe it's not realistic for two people who have full-time jobs and families to do all of those things. And so it muddies the message a little bit to get people to buy into any one of those things, because we're saying, hey, look, we're 17 different things, when really we should be picking maybe one or two things.
Yeah, I think that here's the main thing, right? So we are a media company. We do want to grow our social media accounts. Our social media accounts, I think, do pretty well. What we really want to grow is the YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Because the YouTube channel is where we can really spread some information and some education about NFTs and crypto. And that's really what our core message is that we want to educate people on what NFTs are, what crypto is, right? Because I think that still today, we're only like 2% of the world, not even, right? So I think now we need to really push the education part. Once we push the education part, I think everything else still comes up. Because I still find myself in conversations where people don't know what yesterday I had a conversation with someone about what an NFT is just yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, how do they buy one? How do they get one? And even when they try to get one, it was still pretty difficult for them to get it. It was very confusing, and they couldn't really understand like how to do it. But at the end, they were able to do it. But it took some research, and it took a lot. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult for someone to buy an NFT. It shouldn't be that difficult for someone to understand what an NFT is, right away.
Yeah.
Like, so this is where the education part comes from, and I think that it's really important for us to keep pushing forward with the education part and the crypto part. So I think for us, the YouTube channel, the podcast, throughout, Apple Podcasts and Amazon and Spotify and all that kind of stuff, I think it's the best thing that we can do right now, right? As far as just keeping the space, pushing the space forward and just educating people on what that stuff is. Obviously, at the same time, part of the reason why we started the channel is because we wanted to bring in artists and creators and anybody in the Web3 space that wants to explain it and talk about their art. Me as an artist, ever since we continue to get rugged, right? So what we wanted to do was bring in artists that can explain like the art behind what is it that they do, right?
Right.
The art behind the NFT, like who's creating the NFT, who's who, like who's the artist, what made them create that art, what made them create what they're selling, and then somehow, the people that are buying the NFT can resonate with that and actually buy the artwork. Like, I think that's what's important at the end of the day, is to really get to know the person behind the project, right? Once you get to know them, they're doxed, they're good to go. Like, people will personally feel more comfortable buying that NFT. And then that uncertainty of, hey, I don't know who these people are. I don't even know who created this. It will go away, right? And people will feel a little bit more inclined, more comfortable to buy that NFT. I don't know. I could be wrong. So the people out there listening, if you guys want to put a comment and let me know what you guys think about that idea. But in all honesty, I think that's the most important thing. And that's part of the reason why we created the channel in the first place, is to, see how the people behind the creation are, basically.
Yeah, we've always said on every version of our website that we're based on these three principles, or these three pillars of transparency, which everyone knows where we live, and our faces and our names. Education, like you just talked about, and elevating the community.
Everybody knows where you live.
Right? I know what you're doing. So I think in some ways we're living up to those pillars of education and elevating the community, but right. Not in a clear way, or not in a consistent way. In that maybe, I don't know that we do enough educating of anything, right? We've done a couple of videos on how to buy things, but maybe not explaining the why or the how behind other things. And in terms of elevating the community, we haven't been super aggressive about getting artists onto the show. And I think, like we said on that call, I think that's where we've seen most of our success, is through networking, and we can do our best networking through the show.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So I think it's more, I think we need to take more shots, and even if it's 5% of all shots that we end up with a guest, that's great. We're going to have a guest next week, more info to come on that. But I think that's how we can best grow our network and get people in the loop. Because, I think back to one of our first interviews with Eric Rhodes, he messaged us and said, "Oh, you got to get these people on your show." And he listed like 5 names. And I think we were able to connect with at least 1 or 2 of them. So I think that's, the power of Web3. That's the community behind Web3. And that's a good opportunity for us. So I think that does that. But then we also have talked about, creating like a network effect where other media platforms can come in under our name as an umbrella. So if someone else had a podcast or a YouTube show, they can come in under us. It's like, that sounds great, but that's, a whole nother level of like setting up a business and kind of trying to run things. So I know that that's not our priority right now. It would be great. And if somebody said, "Hey, can we do this?" Like, I think we would just say yes, but we're not out there actively recruiting or trying to promote to get people into our network, into whatever Rebelance media is,
Right. Now, what we're good at we're both good at business, right? Like we're both very good at business. Is what we do in our real lives for whatever amount of years, right? So
Yeah.
even I think if someone wanted to go to come under our umbrella, I think we're more than capable of setting them up successfully, right? And bring them
Yeah, I agree.
into our network. Um, and I think that's the value that we bring to those people is the network that we have, the people that we've met along the way, and like how to successfully create this, right? Because this wasn't easy to do. I mean, we also spent a lot of money, we wasted a lot of money, so we can advise a lot of people on what we did and our steps that we did
Yeah.
and the stuff that we did wrongly, right? So
Yeah, we did a
um,
lot of things wrong early, that's for sure.
yeah,
Um, and again, I go back to the idea of what I consider us to have been successful at NFT NYC because I think people were drawn to us. They were compelled by our story and us as a team and us as a duo. So again, that idea of how do we capitalize on that,
mhm.
right? It's not as easy through a screen, but I think it can be done, right? If that was a magnetic point, then how do we capitalize on that? But then we also have, V1, Germany Pets, and V2. And V2, I think, is probably still where the most potential is in terms of not necessarily the idea of like making money, but the idea of getting people into or excited or engaged with a product of ours, right? Beyond the YouTube channel. Because I think if we can find a way to execute on that idea of the AI storytelling and the battles and some sort of incentive reward system, like that's what I want as a holder of an NFT. Like that's the thing that I want. I want to like buy into something. I want to be emotionally connected to something. I want to be excited about something on a regular basis where I know every Sunday there's going to be a battle. That's awesome. So I think maybe we also need to dive into that. So to me, I think our two biggest areas that we need to do is focus more on networking through the YouTube, getting guests, and figure out how to start executing on V2. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I think we are a media company who happens to have an NFT
Yes.
project,
Right.
right? Four of them, actually five of them, because I have the personal
Yeah.
collection that's out there too, which I've been promoting in the last 2 3 days. Which
Yeah.
actually I do want you to show that on the show now, and the reason why uh, I did that collection. Again, I've always been an artist forever, so for me, the art is the most important thing. But to showcase like something like that personally, it's very very close to me. One, because obviously I've mentioned before in the past how I suffer from like depression and anxiety in the past, and you know it's something that I really don't speak about. But through my art, I think it shows how I kind of cope with it and how I deal with it, and that's the collection there. It's called Unvoiced Echoes, right? And if you really think about it, like men are not very like manly if they talk about their feelings, right? So my artwork kind of shows how men really feel behind closed doors. Basically is what it is. It's how basically I felt behind closed doors
Yeah.
several times. So it's a reflection of my feelings. So that's why this collection is very personal to me. Everything is in black and white, just because I think it gives it more meaning. Um, and you can see that those drawings, if you go to my IG page, those drawings it's actually me drawing, because some people out there are like, he's not drawing it, or whatever the case might be. No, it's me. There's videos of me posted everywhere that it's me drawing them with my iPad on Procreate. And then obviously I put them up. And it's an ever growing collection, right? Like I can continue to put
Yeah.
more and more, just like the Germany Pets collection.
Right.
Um, and it all depends on how I feel, right? So when I feel a certain way, this is how I get better. I don't know if that makes sense or if that resonates with anybody out there, but that's how I get better. I get better by drawing, right, and kind of pushing my feelings out into my canvas for more or less to say. So that's what that collection is.
Yeah.
Um,
I just dropped the link in the YouTube comments for
yeah,
people
and I think
to.
my collection is important because it's something that's unspoken, right? People don't really talk about this, and I think it's something that's good. It's positive, because that's how I deal with it, right? Um, and I remember meeting a couple of people at NFT NYC who I remember saw this collection and were like telling me the same thing and what they were going through, and how to kind of deal with it. And I didn't know how to advise on that, right? So
Mhm.
I guess my advice at that point was, hey, try drawing, try drawing your feelings, how you feel about it, and it kind of helped out a lot with those
Yeah.
people. I remember I'm still in touch with some of them.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, that happens. I mean, I don't want to get into too much details, but my collection's out there, so go check it out.
Yeah,
And let me know what you
definitely.
think
Show
about
some
it.
love. Show some
Yeah.
love.
So other than that, yeah, we have the our three collections, right? Our four collections. And yeah, like you said, V2 I think is the one that we really want to push. Even though we're still honestly, like I really haven't pushed the collection really much. Honestly, like for me, I'd rather push like the Saints out than my own
I know.
collection, right? And I've been doing that for a long time.
I feel you.
Um, I'm a huge fan of like just the NFT collections, the Saints. Like it's just crazy. Like the artwork is cool. I really like this guy behind me. Like it's an amazing collection out there.
Yeah, you want to look
Uh,
at the PFP generator?
yeah. So they created a PFP generator, which is actually really cool. So try. Are you able to do something now with it or no?
Yeah, this is mine. I'm going to put in mine.
Wow.
So, and just a little more background. This was created by the CTO of our Pepe, who we had on the show.
Yeah.
Our Pepe, who we had on the show last week, he made a our Pepe version of this, and then the Saints were like, "Give it to us. We want to be able to do the same thing." And again, I think we could do something pretty cool with this as well. But this is one of my Saints. This was my first Saint. So right here I put in the ID, but then you can see the body is dark. It changes I don't know if that's changing the skin. No. So I think it's because it's already a PFP. But now I can add something for the right hand. I can add the fuck off. Oh, that's the body part there. So let me make that fair. So that'll match the hands there. So then the left hand, do a little fists, a little pistol.
That
Okay.
actually looks pretty
And
cool.
then what I really like is this, the GM part, because we got the white, and the white really stands out nicely. But I like that, and then this as the white. I feel like it's got some good contrast, but then matches the theme there. So if I did another fuck off, this is pretty cool, right? So I can download.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
I could download a little banner action there. So yeah, this is it's cool, just like the RPepe one. The RPepe one lets you just generate and keep randomizing. This one you put in yours. Obviously, the difference there is that this is an actual PFP collection with IDs, whereas RPepe is not. Right? That's just a meme generator essentially.
Yeah. But that's really cool. I mean, this again, like it's just stuff that you can do with the Saints again. Like they're doing so many stuff. Their clothing collection just came out too, not that long ago.
Yes.
And that looks pretty cool, pretty sick.
Did you
like
buy me a sweatshirt? I asked for a large sweatshirt. Did you buy me one?
No, I didn't buy. Do you want one? I'll get you
Fuck,
one.
Miguel.
You know what? Fuck off.
I asked you to do one thing for me.
Fuck off. You see the guy in the back? He needs the little middle finger. So
Fuck
I
off.
point at you every single time we do this show.
I know all about it. I know. All right. Do you want to see an interesting tweet? Interesting tweet.
Yeah. What do you
I
have?
got an interesting tweet for you. So this is from a boy, Whale Swoosh, as always.
Oh,
and
God.
here
What
he
happened
says,
now?
"Our PFP's done." This was posted August 2nd. We'll link it in the show notes for all you people who are like, "Where's the link? I don't know where the link is." I'll put it in the show notes. It's always in the show notes. Calm down. Okay, our PFP's done. What could a next NFT bull market look like? Here are 3 interesting directions the NFT space could take. So the first one is the ERC's 404s. And we might have touched on this in the past, but basically each NFT can be exchanged for a certain number of ERC20 tokens. So in other words, each, let's say, Pudgy Penguin could be swapped for 10,000 Pudgy coins, right? Whatever you want to call it, which in turn can then be exchanged for other cryptocurrencies. So basically you can fractionalize an actual NFT, right? And we've seen this happening. This is how other platforms have worked in the past. I think it was the Floor app. So he's saying, why is it interesting? The problem with NFTs is that the higher the floor price, the smaller the approachable market. You can't buy 0.1 Azuki, you have to buy a whole one, and that's expensive, right? Imagine if you could only buy Bitcoin in whole amounts. Then you'd have a lot less people buying them, right? So 404s could change that. You could buy one Azuki coin for just, $1.22 or a fractionalized amount. And I think that gives people a little more incentive to dip into other projects or be a part of other communities that maybe they didn't feel a part of before. And it says, what stands in the way? NFTs are, by definition, non fungible tokens. Fractionalization in principle stands for more financialization and moves away from the collectible aspect. So it just makes it a little more complicated. It takes away from this idea that I hold this item. Now you'd say I hold a piece of this item, right? Like I'm sure you've seen those stories where people chip in to buy, the Constitution, right? In the Constitution DAO, or people we're chipping in trying to buy Michael Jordan's house, right? You get a little piece of it. But in this sense, you could fractionalize it and then take that and transfer it into some other token. So if the value of Azuki goes up, now I've got a little bit more than I started with, and I can go purchase something else. What are your thoughts? Is this something you'd be interested in?
So the NFTs being fractionalized, basically.
Yeah.
So the NFTs basically being fractionalized.
Right. So it wouldn't be destroyed.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something that I would want to do, or if I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the value of holding, well, not necessarily, because even if you fractionalize it, like how do you sell it though? You sell your fraction?
You could sell your fraction, or you can then convert your fraction.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
You're not into it. You're not into it. I can tell.
I'm not into it yet. I'm not into it yet. I need to understand it more. I feel like fractionalizing a piece of artwork, I get it. If it's a piece of artwork that's extremely expensive, or something like a Van Gogh or something like that,
yeah,
right? That would be cool if you fractionalize something that's out there, that like the Mona Lisa or like something crazy. You know what I mean? You fractionalize that. Hey, I own a piece of the Mona Lisa.
A Bored Ape Yacht Club used to be worth, there were some that people paid over $1 million.
Remind me how much a Bored Ape.
Right. Now it's worth $30,000, which really isn't anything to shrug about. I mean, that's still an impressive floor price, but at some point they were worth mucho money. So I think there's still value in that. Number 2 from Whale Swoosh, he says, meme NFTs. Meme coins are the clear meta of this cycle. Could we also adapt this to NFTs? Collections based purely on memes and culture. We already starting to see this signs of this on Solana. Why is this interesting? You can say what you like about meme coins, but it's exciting. The thrill of quick runs to hundreds of millions of market cap and then back down. No expectation of value building or teams. It's all about culture and trading. And this brings me back to thinking about the RPepe meme generator, right? Like that thing is already set up to be a PFP creator. So all you need to do is randomly generate 1,000, 10,000, whatever the number is, download them, mint them, and then that could be on a Solana network, where you're paying pennies on the transaction. I mean, that just is the coin, and that could work the same way. And maybe, no one gives a shit about it in 3 weeks, but you did it and you minted it, right? And so maybe each one is worth a little bit different. They wouldn't all be worth the same for the obvious reasons of traits or, special number IDs. But I think it would work the same, right? You can get in and out of that just as quickly. And I think with the premise of saying, all right, it's not a Bodago that I'm going to hold on to my Bodago. Love my little guy. But it's like, all right, I got a bunch of these, memes. It could be it could be a million, right? We've talked about that before. Just like with the Jeremy pets, right? That are unlimited. You could have 1 million RPepe NFTs and they get traded for the same thing. The floor price goes up or the total market value, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're not far from that. I think we're like a step away, and somebody just needs to be brave enough to do that because it costs money to have all those things minted. I think that's one of the big differences there too. It's a risk. It's a bigger risk than just starting your own coin.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. The other thing too is like I can see that all these things are happening, right? But again, like I mentioned earlier, like we're still not educating people on what NFTs are or what crypto is. So we're still moving the space forward by doing more technology and getting more ideas out there, which happens all the time because we see it at NFT NYC, right? But my theory behind it is, especially in the last 3 years that we've been through to NFT NYC, is that all these ideas continue to come up. All these things continue to come up, but yet every year that we go, something goes away. Right. And the reason why it goes away or nobody talks about it is, again, because we're continue to build on top of something that nobody knows yet what it is, right? So where's the education piece? Like, where does it come in? When is the NFT education comes in, right? Like for people to get into it.
Yeah, I think the challenge with that is that we're so insulated, so insular in our community that people aren't trying to bring in new people, right? People just want to dip into the funds that already exist.
But that's the
Um,
problem. The problem is that people want to dip into the funds that they already have with the community that they have. How about you continue to build more, I don't know, more education about it so that you can bring in more people into your community instead of just being greedy and trying to maximize on the people that you already have in there. Like, do what you did from the beginning. The problem is that when people start getting any little kind of money, they just forget about the entire project. No, they care about just getting as much money as they can from whatever they have already. But I don't think that's the important part. I think the important part is to continue to educate people and onboard more people into Web3. That's the only way we're going to move the space forward. It's not by continuing to build on what we already have. And granted,
yeah,
that's important to do because things get easier the more we build, right? But at the same time, you have people in the space like Bored Ape, right? And I'm a Bored Ape holder. You know this. And I've been a
yeah,
fan
quit
for a long
bragging.
time. I have my little guy back here too, which you could barely see, but that's another story. Like, where's the education part from these blue collar guys, right? With the exception of like Pudgy Penguins. Pudgy Penguins is all about education and onboarding people, and they're doing it the right way. Like 100%, they're doing it the right way. Their marketing strategy is amazing. Like putting out the toys into Walmart, it was an amazing strategy to onboard parents and kids, right? And even the games that
Right.
you play. Um, but they're the only ones doing it correctly.
But what they're doing, I don't know that they're the only ones doing it correctly, but what they're doing is they're going outside of the Web3 circle, right? And a lot of what you and I have talked about is just trying to get or trying to help people feel comfortable coming into Web3. And there's so many
Right.
more barriers, right? So not only is it hard in some senses to just even get crypto that you can then use and swap around with all the KYC, and people are just not always comfortable doing that. How do I know which company to trust? Am I trusting Robinhood? Am I trusting Coinbase? Whatever it is, right? All they hear are these horror stories. So I think you have people just with a base fear of just coming into the ecosystem. Then they have to spend money that they probably think of as gambling, which in some ways it is or was.
What's the
But
stock market though? The stock
sure, but
market
not
is
everyone's a stock market player.
it's a gamble.
Um, Right. I think we'd have to find a way to step outside of Web3, show the value or the exciting part of Web3 and try and bring people in that way, right? I remember back in the day, people used to be like, oh, let me send you some Bitcoin so you have it, so you feel like you're into it. Like, that doesn't happen so much anymore. But I think that was sort of the idea, was like, oh, let me just give you some. And so now we need to find a way to get people into Web3 by reaching into Web2 and IRL, essentially, right? So imagine doing an art show in your hometown, which I know is something you've talked about, and then explain how, hey, the thing you just made, we can put it on the blockchain, which means it's forever there, and it's you can verify who the owner is, that sort of thing, right? And you can
Yeah.
explain why that's valuable. So I think it's a lot to ask of everyone to do that, because not everyone cares enough to do that. People are in this space in many instances just to make money, so they're not going to spend time trying to bring people in who are not going to create profit for them. So I think
Yeah.
for you and I, we've got to find that angle.
Yeah, but my point is like the blue collar NFT companies that are out there, right? Again, like Bored Ape, um, Doodles, right? What else is out there? Like really big ones, Alien Friends.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there, right? Like how do we tap into that education part? How do we tap into that Pudgy Penguin side of things, right? Because I still think that Pudgy's doing it correctly, onboarding people that have absolutely no clue about Web3 or NFTs through a toy,
Yeah.
right? You scan the toy, the QR code, and it takes you into this immense world of Web3 and shows you what it is, right?
Yeah, I think part of that answer might be this third point that Whale Swoosh has here, which is gaming NFTs. On one hand, you and I have talked about how in the future, people won't even know that they're interacting with the blockchain. And we've also talked about when Web3 gaming, because that's all we've ever heard about. But that is a way to step outside of the actual Web3 circle for people to start interacting with it. Should companies be able to actually put their items on the blockchain without the user needing to do anything extra, right? So here he says, web gaming is the future. This phrase was on everyone's lips a while ago, and while the hype has cooled down somewhat, it could still be an important trend for NFTs. Why is it interesting? Gaming NFTs, unlike many PFP projects, often have in-game utility. So again, I think that utility is really important. In a successful game, this can drive natural demand. The digital flex in-game is also very different to the flex within smaller social media bubbles. The individual gaming NFT unit price is often lower, but that doesn't mean there can't be a large sale. Rare knives in Counter-Strike, which sometimes cost several hundred thousands of US dollars, is just one example. Here's a story about somebody paying $1 million for basically a skin in Counter-Strike. Currently, there are virtually no Web3 games that experience mass hype. If no existing top game integrates NFTs in this way, there could be a long way between the current NFT space and a truly thriving gaming NFT ecosystem. So he says, in conclusion, a new NFT bull market, whenever it comes, could look completely different from the last one and be driven by different metas. Will one of the three mentioned play a role, or maybe a combination of them, right? So I do think it's interesting to think about what does the next bull run look like, or even just the next cycle. It doesn't even have to be a bull run, just the next cycle, because sometimes you want to be part of that wave, right? You don't want to be late to the game. You want to be on the forefront of that, or you know what to look out for. You can start connecting some dots. So I do think gaming could work. I think everyone agrees gaming could work in a Web3 space, but no one's really been able to pull that off without getting people into Web3.
We've been talking about gaming for 3 years now, maybe 4, right?
Yeah.
Like even at NFT NYC, their biggest thing was a game. Remember? And where's that game now? Have you played it? Have you seen it?
No.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, do I think that utility is important? This is where I kind of disagree with you a little bit. As an artist, right? And the people listening out there, don't get me wrong. I think utility is very important. But as an artist, my selfishness as an artist is, hey, I just want to put my artwork out there so that people can see it. Right? Like if you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't want to buy it, then don't buy it. So I think that, yeah, utility is important for certain things, but I also think that the art is important for certain things. Like some people do care about the art out there, like me. There are people out there that actually do care about the art. Utility to me is really not an important thing. Like to you, maybe it is, Kevin, right? And maybe to most of the viewers right now that are watching us and listening to us, maybe that's important to them too, right? For me, it's more about the art. Do I like it? I'm gonna buy it. And maybe I frame it and put it in my screen back here. You know what I mean? And put it all over my house. And that's the reason why I'm buying it, is because I really like it. Again, it goes back to me, remembering back in high school when I was in art class, like all these people around me that were great doing art, and nobody would ever see their art. Nobody. Right? And now we have this platform where, hey, that person that was sitting next to me can now put your art and showcase it to 1 million people. Like, how amazing is that? Right? Yeah, and I think that's where me and you kind of disagree a little bit. Like to me, the utility is not an important thing. Utility is important to move the space forward, like putting NFL tickets on the blockchain, like all that kind of stuff is great, right? And like you said, we have plenty of shows where we talked about, like, for example, McDonald's putting the Monopoly game as an NFT or something crazy like that, right? How great would that be?
Listen to me.
Like, we have all these great ideas, but I feel like I'm 10 years forward sometimes in my head, right? Of things that we can possibly do, or things that can possibly be successful, right? And unfortunately, like, we have, let me not say we don't have the funds. We kind of have the funds, but we don't want to use those funds, right? To waste money and do all these things, right? But at the same time, like, the education part, I think is the most important thing right now.
Yeah. And I think I try to connect that utility to education, because I think that's where it might make sense to someone, right? So imagine giving that example about the McDonald's Monopoly, or explaining how we've talked about, maybe real estate is on the blockchain and what the benefit of that is. So I think that's one aspect of the education, to say, hey, how could problems that we deal with today, how could they be improved or solved using blockchain technology? And blockchain technology is not the same as cryptocurrency, but I think, again, it's trying to bring in that idea of, say, hey, in this Web3 world, there's a lot of cool things going on. There's, amazing art That's one thing. There's utility for art. That's another thing. There's PFPs. There's shit coins. There's meme coins. There's gaming. There's all right there. It's its own world. Each one of those things is its own world. So, maybe our job is to try and touch on all those points through different educational topics, and some of it is to say, what's the most important part here, or what's the most important to each of us to say this is what we want to highlight and push. So I think there's no shortage of topics to try and say what makes Web3 interesting and a reason for people to step into the space.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so next week we have a guest. We have a guest next week. And this is Martech Networks. If you hang around the spaces on Twitter, then you've probably heard him. He's got the Good Vibe Saturday, and he's just great at marketing and networking. He talks about network to get work, and he's all about the positive vibes, bringing people together. And
he's doxed.
And he's doxed, and he's just a very positive guy. Definitely what we need in the Web3 space, and I'm excited to get to dive into his story and kind of hear what's on his mind and what he's looking forward to, because I think he's looking for things that are a little bit just slightly out of the norm, right? Things that aren't just the standard PFP. Here's 10,000 of them. I think he's looking for actual good people and good stories. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear how he got to where he is today, because he wasn't always in Web3, so he's got a lot to share. And I look forward to kind of talking with him on that level and connecting and working with him in the future.
Yeah, I think Martech would be pretty cool to have and just get to know like his background and how he got into Web3 and how he got into spaces and all that kind of stuff. That'll be great to know from him. I mean, you know what I love about Martech? His energy. Like, it's
so good.
Just very explosive. I love that shit. Like,
yeah.
You get into every time I come off a Martech space, like I'm like pumped. I just want to, I don't know, take on the world right afterwards.
Yeah, he's a great host. And I'm inspired and motivated by him.
Yeah, Martech is pretty cool. But talking about stuff, right, too, like having guests, I really want to bring back, obviously, from the Saints. We had him last week. I really want to bring him back.
Side Project,
yeah, because Side Project has been into Web3 and crypto for a very long time, and I think Side Project is very knowledgeable of things that we might not even know about, right? Because he's a dev, and I think that he can really bring into perspective a lot of things that we talk about here in the show. I think Side Project would be great to have again on our show for sure, 100%. Maybe one of these days he'll dox himself in the video. Although he is doxed, he's doxed out. He's very doxed out there. People can see what he looks like. It's just that he's in a different time zone for us. It was like 2-3 in the morning for him when we had the show. For us, it was only like 8 p.m. Eastern. So he really wasn't on video because he didn't look pretty great. He was sleeping. So I thank him for being on the show last week, which was great. But I really want to pick his brain about just in general everything that he does. So I think that he would be a great guest to have again. Outside of Art Pepe, obviously, just to see how he got into Web3 and all that kind of stuff. That would be amazing to really talk to him about.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, let's try and get some more people on for the coming weeks. We'll have an episode. We'll be live next Sunday, same time. We're going to take the next week off because I will be traveling. Don't break into my house. And then we should be back and good to go for the next few months.
Yeah, the other thing too is if anybody out there listening today want to come on the show to talk about their project, just hit us up in a DM. Let us know. We'll put you live. You'll be live everywhere. And talk about your project. Talk about you. Talk about how you got into Web3. Talk about if you're an artist. Talk about your art. How you got into art. It's great to see that. It's great to hear those stories. Because a lot of times they're just amazing stories of how people got into art. Like I got into art as a way out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And again, like I've spoken about this in several other episodes, but it's great to hear other people's stories. Like I remember having Wonder Mundo, right? And she got into art because she was having an issue too. Even Alyssa, same thing with Alyssa, how she got into it. We had some great artists in our show that just had some incredible, amazing stories about how they got into Web3 and art. So I would love to hear some more people out there that are artists or Web3 personalities that want to come on and talk on the show. Let us know. Send us a DM.
Yep. Get in touch. We're happy to talk, happy to showcase you and give you a platform just to even practice your speech, your presentation on who you are and what you are, and just engage in some conversation about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll help
we
you.
want to make it a lively space.
Yeah, we'll help them. We're not as explosive as Martech, but we can be if we really wanted to. Kevin's
We
very
can be.
funny.
We
Kevin's
can
very
be. That's
funny
what
though.
counts. Yeah. All
Sometimes.
right. Good stuff. Go fix your situation so next week we don't have to be late for our
Hey,
friends again. Okay.
can we shave your head? Like
It's
live?
yeah. I mean, I pay someone to do it. So do you want me to like come over and then you'll shave me? Is that the
Yeah,
idea?
let's do it.
All right.
I just want to shave your head.
You can shave my
But I
head.
want you to leave the beard. I want you to like let it grow, and then we
Yeah.
shave your head.
Don't touch my beard. I've had a beard for a very long time.
No,
Don't
I
touch
said
my
you
beard.
let it grow. Let it grow
I know.
out. We'll shave your head live, and it'll be amazing. We'll put a little B for Bitcoin up here.
A B for Bitcoin. How
Yeah,
about the ant? Can you get the ant microphone in my head?
we can. We could do that too.
All right. Do me a favor. Fuck off. Have a good night.
No, you fuck off. All right.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Good night, everybody. Follow us on YouTube.